Greetings, Invader Scum. This is Pincognito, aka Pinko, here with number 1 in the life of a Darkwraith. So just a few housekeeping matters since it's been over a month since my last video, well over a month since my last invasion video. So the title change here, the missing half hour or so is deliberate because Dark Souls 1 invasions tend to be pretty short, and so the prospect of assembling a full half hour of invasions seemed a little overkill to me. We still end up with over 20 minutes or so here, but I didn't want to hold myself to that in the future. So it's no longer a half hour or so, but I'll try to put it, good quality content and as long as I can in these videos. The other format change that you will likely have noticed already if you've been with me for a while is the music. I used to use a service called Juke Deck to generate music for my Dark Souls 3 videos, but they've changed their kind of music selections a bit in ways that I'm not crazy about, and I just didn't like the overall tone of the music that was available to me now. So instead I've gone with a sampling of hip-hop instrumentals. So I hope you like that, because that's what it'll be probably for a lot of my videos for the time being. So this is one of the first invaders I created in the Dark Souls remaster. Not the first, but the first one I invaded with pretty heavily. This is my Infested Thief, who is part of kind of a invader collective. There's a few other people I know that have created an infested character. Derpy Turtle, Lord Grim, Nariander, Danga JM, Terrid. I'm probably forgetting somebody, but those are the ones I can think of offhand. But the main idea of these characters is that they are in service to the fair lady, and as a sign of devotion to her, they have become infested by the egg parasite, which you can see on this character, the hideous head that she has. And although it has not fully developed on this character, she became infested just before, or just after I finished building the character, before I started invading. So I had to collect all the souls I needed for the transformation through invasions, which I kind of wanted to do deliberately. And I don't think it manifests in these invasions, but in later videos you'll see the disgusting, fully developed egg parasite and the worm kick. That you'll see eventually. So this character is soul level 35. The weapon upgrades are equivalent to +7 normal type knight. They are +2 raw. I've also got a handful of +2 fire weapons now, though I don't think they make appearances here. I use a lot of different status effects. I've got an offhand bandit knife for bleed. You can see right now I've got the poison buff on my S-stock. I've got poison knives. I've got dung pies. Now on this character, though not during these videos, I've got poison arrows on a bow. So a lot of emphasis on status effects to help out against groups and to help out against shields. So here we've got a group of 3, 2 password summon phantoms, which is usually quite dangerous, although they are, to put it mildly, not optimized in terms of the builds, which is fine. But that made things a little easier than it could have been. If this had been 2 phantoms with gold tracer, it would have been a world of hurt for me, most likely. So you can see by the soft humanity counter that we're at 35 here, which means we're pretty early into the invasion career of this particular invader, and therefore really early into my invasions in the remaster as a whole. But I wanted to kind of give a flavor of kind of how I've developed over time, so I decided to start with some of my early invasion videos. Here I make an enormous tactical blunder. I head into this hallway without knowing whether the fog wall that leads to the channeler and the large rats is even open. And as you can tell by the fact that the camera keeps zooming in as I back up, it's not. So I've got nowhere to go. And I'm kind of at least subconsciously aware of that, even as I try to get some hits in against this Parry King. What do we do against Parry Kings? Well, we parry them, of course. it's the only just revenge. But this is bad. Now, we've managed to dispense with 1 phantom, but now I'm able to verify, A, the fog wall is there, and B, no, invaders cannot open fog walls. They can open doors, they cannot open fog walls. So this is bad. So I turn to my my toolkit here, make use of some dung pies to try to proc Toxic on the host, which does a ton of damage and lasts forever. So I know he probably is not going to have the Blooming Moss quite yet. He could, and his Password Summon Phantom could certainly drop him some potentially. But it's not likely. So this is going to help me quite a bit over the duration of the invasion, even if I can't, quickly dispense with him, because I have absolutely no mobility in here. You can see me going for a lot of kind of hail parries, in part because I just don't have too many options, crowded as I am against the wall. Here I have to kind of get rid of the toxin that the Password Summon Phantom procced on me. Short-lived. This is a hell of a situation. If the Phantom had been more aggressive, I might have been in more trouble. Because with their shields and... I guess I could have been using the Bandit Knife more to try to proc bleed. I was having that hard time getting in against the weapons, though. I mean, I'm fortunate that the Phantom here is just using the claw. If he'd done anything longer, I could have been in much more trouble. In plenty of trouble as it is. And now he switches to the Dark Hand. Not nearly as threatening a weapon here as it is in Dark Souls 3. So I can, even the Shoto's not very long, but I can easily outspace the Dark Hand. And somehow, even though I've got absolutely nowhere to go, he manages to misspace both these attacks. I mean, I'm not sure why he was going for that in this situation, unless he was expecting a Dark Souls 1 style or a Dark Souls 3 style attack. I'm not sure. Anyway, finally get the Phantom down. So even though we're low on Estus, and that host is doing decent enough damage, particularly with that pine resin, we're sitting pretty. It's been kind of a mess of an invasion, largely because of my enormous tactical blunder of heading into this hallway. But we're doing all right now. An inexperienced Dark Souls 1 invader, an inexperienced Gonk. It was fun. Alright, this time we're in Blighttown. One of my favorite places to invade in this game so far. Although actually the Depths is pretty great too. They've both been really fun levels. So part of the reason I started at Soul Level 35 is precisely because, which I mentioned before, I wasn't really an invader in Dark Souls 1. And so I'm a lot less familiar with the tech for sure, and just in general PvP. I mean, obviously there are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences, and they are differences that really matter. One thing you will likely observe me do a lot, here's a terrible attempt at a toggle escape on my part. Failed toggle escape into fall true combo. One thing you'll see me do a lot is turn my back to players when I'm really close to them. In Dark Souls 3, this is really safe. Outside of a handful of players, incredibly safe. But it is super dangerous in Dark Souls 1 against even the most inexperienced opponents you come across. They can accidentally backstab you in those situations quite easily. So that's just an example of something that I still struggle with, frankly, because it's just muscle memory I have from Dark Souls 3, and I can't really shake it. That's why you'll see me wearing the flip ring in some invasions, I think, in this video, and that's partly because I can get away with rolling around a lot more like I can in Dark Souls 3. But I've been really enjoying the invasions in Dark Souls 1. There are some significant downsides. I'm not sure we'll get into all of them in this video, but shields are a problem. That's partly why I enjoyed using this character, is because I've got lots of avenues of attacking shields outside of the Shotel R2, although I still rely on that. Here I get the prediction parry. Some things are the same as Dark Souls 3. Good old prediction parries are still the same. But on the topic of shields, I mean, lots of people have commented about this, but 101 is fine. You can figure out ways to pressure somebody. It can be a much more difficult situation when you get a group of 2 or 3, and actually really passive groups can just be a nightmare. Like it can be difficult, like in Dark Souls 3 as well, which is where most of my experience comes from. It can be hard to just find openings against passive players, but it's really, really hard in Dark Souls 1 when they're passive turtles, because it's just hard to do damage. And I just refuse to use the shield on every character I have. But not all groups are as challenging as passive turtles. Sometimes they just take care of themselves. GG's, guys. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about, as I'm using this kind of low-level invader, I mean, it's a level 35, so not super low level, but pretty low level. And is this issue of twinking in Dark Souls 1. So this character, I've got +7 weapons, which probably gives me an advantage over most hosts in these areas, which is fine. I mean, part of optimizing an invader build is getting your build craft advantages. That's part of the skill of being an invader to an extent. For me, though, it's trying to get that advantage while still keeping the fights fun and competitive. I think this character manages that. Ooh, nice little chain, nice little backstab chain. The issue I have been having, and I've talked about this with Revion a little bit, or Revion raised the issue on a Discord, and I think I'm sure other people have discussed this, but the issue is the soft humanity, which is your only reward for invasions. This dude just gives up. But it does kind of make almost any invader a little bit of a twink eventually, right? Just because it really provides a massive boost to your defenses. I guess I should say it only kind of makes lower level invaders twinks ultimately. It matters less at higher levels, where most people you're going to run into, particularly in the hot spots, are probably also running with a lot of humanity. But there is just no chance on earth anyone I run into, outside of maybe Password Summon Phantoms, is going to be rocking anywhere near 99 or even 55 soft humanity. So it gives me like a huge defensive boost. Now, I have tried to curtail that a bit, and I have not maxed out my armor upgrades on this character. I've kept them commensurate with my weapon upgrades. So I think the gloves and the pants are unupgraded, and the chest piece is at +7 as well. So it's equal to my weapons. But that's I don't know quite what the answer to that issue is. I mean, on the one hand, it's literally your reward for invading is to acquire this soft humanity. So I don't feel like bad that I've acquired it. But it's also undeniable that it gives you a huge leg up against most hosts at these soul levels. And so consequently, I think this character at this point in time has had 99 soft humanity for quite a while. And unless it's a really skilled solo host, it's just a bloodbath. They just have no chance. Now groups are almost instantaneously challenging, unless they're just terrible players, just because that's just the way Dark Souls 1 is in my mind. 2v1s are tough, 3v1s are really, really hard, 4v1s are absolutely ridiculous, unless you've got some significant skill and kind of build advantages. Yeah, so I don't know if there's like an answer to how you should kind of treat your soft humanity. I don't know of any invader that like deliberately drops their soft humanity once they reach like a certain threshold. I haven't. I've kept every soft humanity I've acquired, but it's also undeniable that it has an effect on the outcome of invasions over time. And it's just kind of a fact of Dark Souls 1. Alright, so in the depths again, and I guess I do wanted to follow up on this soft humanity issue, because it does tie into, actually, Amish just released a video the day I'm recording this where he talks about this too, but I was going to discuss it, so I guess I'll kind of echo something he said in his video, which is kind of his experience with twinks in the Berg. Now, there is weapon matchmaking now, so there's a limit to how much more overpowered they can be. You can be matched, but you can still be matched with someone with a +0 fire weapon, which if you have a +0 regular weapon is a hell of a discrepancy. And there's no armor matchmaking, so they could have fully upgraded armor and 99 soft humanity. Now, if you come across a invader with fully upgraded armor and 99 soft humanity, and you, like I was, are still level 3, you might as well be coming across like a level 250 invader. Like there's really not much meaningful difference. I ran across an invader who was just using a fire hand axe. I think he could have. I think he had enough damage to kill me like in 4 hits. I'd say it would have taken me in the ballpark of like 70-ish hits to get through like 1 of his health bars, assuming I kept him from healing at all. You know, that's I guess to put it the way Amish did, that's not much fun. I mean, it's fine, it's over quickly enough, but I don't know, what's the point? And on a certain level, what's the point of the matchmaking if that's the situation that's created? On the other hand, you know, I'm just speaking for myself here. I don't understand the point of invading that way. Now, I'm sure lots of people that do invade with builds like that say they're doing it to, you know, deal with the twink phantoms and so on and so forth. But and neither in Dark Souls 3 nor so far in Dark Souls 1 have I ever encountered the twink that, like, you know, just dropped a humanity or a Christ, what are they called in Dark Souls 3? An ember for the solo host and black crystalled out. I have literally never encountered a twink like that, and I have encountered plenty of twinks. So I'm skeptical of people who claim they play that way, though I'm sure you're out there. Anyways, it just all goes to it just feeds into kind of my ambivalent thinking about the benefits of the soft humanity and what they mean for invaders, and yeah. I guess the point I'm kind of meandering around discussing the soft humanity and kind of lower level invasions is that personally I think it's better if invaders are a little more cognizant of kind of the overall community. Now here you can see me being a sloppy DS3 player to show on my back over and over again. I finally get punished for it. But as invaders, being cognizant of the fact that it is like a player ecosystem, right? No part of it is independent other than like kind of the offline solo player. Now, I don't have any respect for the argument that hosts should not have to be invaded. I think that's garbage. I think invasions are absolutely core to Dark Souls. It's like it's the most compelling aspect of the games for me. It's the unique aspect of Souls games that separates them from all others, and I have no respect for arguments that people should be protected from invasions in their playthroughs. I wish it wasn't possible at all, frankly. Having said that, I do wish invaders kind of took into consideration kind of the experiences of the host they invade. And so that, you know, you don't show up as an undefeatable Terminator in a soul level 3 host world who's, you know, been playing the game for 30 minutes. That's just not fun. It isn't fun. I don't understand how it's fun for the invader, frankly. That's just my opinion, though. But it sure as hell isn't fun for the host. How could that possibly be fun? Or anything other than rage-inducing? I don't know. I know not everyone agrees this way. I know not everyone in my Twitch chat agrees with this. I'm sure not everyone watching this video will agree with this. But it is something that I think Dark Souls 1 makes you even more aware of than Dark Souls 3, where it was certainly possible to be a pretty rough, low-level invader and pretty tough to kill. But Dark Souls 3 has got nothing on Dark Souls 1, even with the weapon matchmaking. Yeah, and so you know, we're all part of this player ecosystem. Invaders need hosts, as Amish commented. Preferably, we need hosts with phantoms, right? Those are the fun invasions. And so I think, I don't know, I think being cognizant of that is important. Now, what that translates into directly will vary from player to player. And I guess probably ultimately all I'm just here expressing is my own opinion, and people are going to play how they want to play. But I would hope that people try to engage in these invasions with builds that make fights interesting, at least for everyone involved. That's not always possible, and I'm sure I get absolutely raffle stomped by gang squads occasionally. But for me, it's worth it to keep the overall balance alive. Yeah, that's my long meandering 2 cents on that issue. All right, I think we've talked around and about that issue enough without achieving any kind of resolution. But there's no right answer, but I felt compelled to talk about it a little bit, just based on kind of my experiences playing through the game at low levels in my attempts to kind of create a moderately balanced low-level invader. Whether I succeeded, I don't know. But before we leave this video, this is the last invasion, just taking care of business with that phantom. I will be becoming a dual citizen of both PlayStation 4 and the Mustard Race. I am acquiring a PC, and pretty soon. Not for Dark Souls 1. Apologies to my Twitch followers that are into Dark Souls 1 and on PC, but that's not super likely. But I will be getting Dark Souls 3 on PC. So if you are a PC player and you play Dark Souls 3, I'd be interested in hearing from people into what the best way to kind of get started is. I'm thinking about doing a dried finger run, maybe a soul level 55 or 60 character, just to kind of get things kicked off and get people involved. But let me know. I'd appreciate any feedback on that issue. And here we can see just to wrap things up, very common sight on Dark Souls 1 Remaster, the good old disconnect. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Take care.